How's it going, you guys? AZ Plyo 21 here, back with another pay-per-view in our UFC Reborn save here in WMMA 5, and we have UFC 300 Jones versus Rozenstruik. It's John Jones taking on Biggie Boy here for the heavyweight championship in our main event. 3 title fights on hand for this card. Before I get into that, next episode will be obviously our booking stream, where I will go ahead. It's an hour and a half long, typically, where I book the next month worth of fights. We got Gane versus Spivak. That's going to be our next fight card. Chikadze versus Yair Rodriguez. Sergio Pettis versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Kelvin Gastelum versus Jeff Neal. And then UFC 301, Edwards versus Chimaev. Also Volkanovski versus Evloev for the featherweight title on that one. That one's from Western Asia, Abu Dhabi. Makhachev versus Poirier, Blanchfield versus Fior, Gustafsson versus Menefield. That is a great looking pay-per-view. Not so good news about UFC 302 though. Yuri Prochazka was expected to defend his light heavyweight championship against Azamat Murzakanov. However, he refuses, just straight up refuses to fight Murzakanov because Murzakanov's only on like high-level regional. He's just straight up not willing to fight Derek Lewis. Or he's not willing to fight Murzakanov. So Derek Lewis is a popular fighter, so Yuri's just going to fight up at heavyweight. Not ideal. We're going to have to figure out something. We're going to have to get Murzakanov a really good fight, probably on TV, so that way he can hopefully get a win and, you know, get his popularity up enough to where Yuri's willing to fight him. But that's 3 months down the line, to the point where he might just get jumped in the rankings, and obviously he risks losing that fight. I mean, Pereira and Uzdemir, there's a chance that one of them will probably end up fighting. I think the same thing happened with Ankalaev. He just beat Pereira. He's not back for 35 days though. I wonder if he would be willing to fight him. High-level regional in America is not the greatest though. That's the thing that sucks, is Yuri's straight up refusing to fight his top contenders, which really sucks. So that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on for sure, with our first Diva champion, essentially, in Prochazka. He's just going to have a normal fight up at heavyweight against Derek Lewis. Imagine if he lost. That would be insane. But with that said, let's go and take a look at the rankings as of our last fight card. Of course, last time I saw you guys, it was for Covington versus Burns, where Colby Covington came out on top. At heavyweight, not much going on there. Nothing at light heavyweight as well. Middleweight, Roman Dolidze into the top 10. Abasov into the top 12. At welterweight, Colby Covington, technically the #1 contender. He was calling out Magomed Umalatov, who is 1-0 in the UFC and has a fight scheduled against Jack Della Maddalena. Lightweight, not much going on. At featherweight, we just signed the PFL champion Brendan Loughnane. I don't know if that's how you actually pronounce it. 0-1 in the UFC. When he was 22, he lost a fight here, but is coming off quite a win streak over in PFL, including winning the $1 million season finale one year. Bantamweight, not too much going on. Dominic Cruz jumping up in rankings very slightly. At flyweights, nothing. Featherweight, nothing. Bantamweight, GDR goes up a little bit. Flyweight, we just signed a girl, Luana Santos, who's number 11 now, and not too much at strawweight either. With that said, let's go and get into it. UFC 300, definitely a little bit more low-key than the last save, where I had 10 title fights on UFC 300. This is definitely not that. Definitely going to be a shorter video than that one was, but let's go and get into it. Pay-per-view UFC 300. This time it is in Georgia. So let's go ahead and get it cracking. Take a nice little swig of my ginger ale as we get underway with Gabriel Green taking on Carlson Harris to begin UFC 300. We got Gabriel Green coming out on top via unanimous decision. We got Pat Sabatini taking on Bill Algeo. At 145, we got Algeo knocking out Sabatini in round number 2, 19th win of his career. Cameron Simon taking on Aaron Phillips. At 135, Simon undefeated and remaining as such. TKO victory in round number 1. Calling out Mario Bautista. Alan Nascimento taking on Christian Natividad at flyweight. Natividad, former LFA champion, loses in his UFC debut to Alan Nascimento. Up next, we've got Carl Williams as he takes on Josh Parisian at heavyweight. A very light heavyweight. Is Carl Williams at only 220, and he loses a split decision against Josh Parisian. Jared Gooden taking on Chris Curtis at middleweight. Chris Curtis, a small favorite, as it is him getting the TKO victory. And I think I just read something about him recently where I think he's extremely sick or was in a car accident or something like that. So all the best to him. Irene Aldana taking on Jocelyn Edwards at bantamweight, and it is Aldana in a fantastic fight, by the way, getting the TKO win in round number 2. Love to see it. Johnny Walker taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. Nzechukwu, whatever. He's currently training with Conor McGregor, and he gets knocked out, TKO'd by Kennedy in round number 1. And he wants to fight Impa Kasanganay. Tim Elliott taking on Hussier Formiga at flyweight. Couple veterans of the Octagon, as it is Formiga getting the split decision win over Tim Elliott here today. Dan Ige taking on Hakeem Dawodu in our final prelim here today. A big fight in the featherweight division, and it is Hakeem getting a split decision victory over Dan Ige here today. Main card underway here as we have UFC 300 going. Chris Weidman taking on Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel, a small favorite against the former champion after wins over Jamie Pickett and Ian Heinisch. On the other side, you got Chris Weidman coming off a loss to Jack Hermanson. And we've got Chris Weidman TKOing Bo Nickel on UFC 300. A big win for the former champ. Y'all must have forgot. He says this prospect is not going to get one up on me. Grant Dawson taking on former champion Charles de Bronx Oliveira. Oliveira, a big favorite in this one as the former champion, coming off a big win over Rafael Fiziev. Grant Dawson on the other side, number 2 in the division, coming off 4 straight wins. Dan Hooker, Rausch Manfio among those. He is a huge underdog to the former champion, but it is Grant Dawson with a split decision over Oliveira here today, and that is a huge win for him, more than likely just solidifying himself as a potential title contender in the near future. Amanda Nunes taking on Josie Nunes in our first title fight here today for the featherweight championship. Josie Nunes 4-0 in the UFC, wins over Maleki Pascual, Zeraferin dos Santos, Norma Dumont. Listen, this featherweight division is pretty terrible. We all know that. Amanda Nunes is expected to just run roughshod on it. I'd be surprised if anything other than a finish from Nunes happens. Let's get it going. Our first title fight of UFC 300. Just glad to have her around, you know, Amanda Nunes. Have someone with her drawing power as one of the women's, 2 of the women's champions is amazing. Nice rank hook lands for Amanda. 1180 favorites. Wicked right uppercut. Josie is knocked down, starting to pound away. Heavy shots to the face. Herb Dean's got to call the fight. Unbelievable as Josie Nunes gets TKO'd in 97 seconds by Amanda Nunes. Battle of the Nuneses as she is still your featherweight champion. There you go. Co-main event underway as we have Brandon Moreno taking on Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. In my opinion, the best flyweight of all time and one of the guys on the Mountain Rushmore for the UFC with just how many defenses he had of that. Look at this, dude. Look at this. Look how many defenses he had. Unbelievable what this guy was able to do with the flyweight championship and just the disrespect that everyone put on him. And immediately left. Sadly lost to Adriano Moraes. Was able to get that win back. Got 1 win in 1 championship, and I said, I gotta have the mouse. And so here we are. He is a huge underdog to babyface Moreno. Assassin baby. Coming off winning against Pantoja for the championship, or I guess defending the championship, as it is our co-main event here at 300. Brandon Moreno and Mighty Mouse going at it. He is a full 4 inches taller than Demetrius, I should say as well. Nice right hook lands. Counter jab from Mighty Mouse. exchange of strikes. Johnson misses. Halfway point of the round now. Under a minute left to go in round number 1. Not much has happened. Johnson moving to southpaw. Counter right hand lands for Johnson. End of round number 1. A superb round of action that they say Moreno took. Quick jabs there for Moreno. Two fighters engage here. Body kick lands for Mighty Mouse. Uh-oh, big strike that time. Snaps his head back. Unbelievable. A TKO victory after a huge strike from Brandon. Snaps his head back and just lands up against the cage. Just starts rattling up against him. Fantastic fight, but Brandon Moreno is still your UFC flyweight champion. And he looks forward to defending the championship even more come the future, as that brings us to our main event of the evening for the heavyweight championship. Unbelievable how wide the betting line is. John Bones Jones taking on Yair Biggie Boy Rozenstruik for the heavyweight championship. Coming off 2 really big wins. Aspinall and Derek Lewis for sure gets him a title shot. John Jones, of course, beating Stipe. That's his only title defense in this save. It is our main event of the evening for UFC 300. Let's get it going. I imagine John Jones gets a stoppage win. Fight is underway. Spin kick lands for Jones. Using to use his reach advantage, apparently. Tentative left hand. Rozenstruik failing to land. Shoots on Rozenstruik. Pushing him up against the cage. Can't get a takedown. Trying to get him down again. Unable to do so. Trying to get a trip in. Grabs the cage. Biggie Boy cheating. Unbelievable. Knee to the side of the ribs. 3 minutes left to go in round number 1. Knee to the chest. Control of the clinch. Rozenstruik's knocked out. There you go. So in the clinch, John Bones Jones lands a knee on Biggie Boy, and he retains his heavyweight championship, and I love it. I know it's a little controversial, but John Jones is my favorite fighter of all time, so glad to see he got the win there. Still your heavyweight champion. Let's go. Defends the title. 20,000 in attendance in Georgia, a gate of 5 million. I imagine John Jones made a big heap of money. Popularity increases all around. You'd love to see it. Moreno and Johnson get the fight of the night for sure. And then let's give out some performance bonuses. Simon with a first round knockout. Kennedy with a first round TKO. And then Amanda Nunes, absolutely, she deserves one as well. Congratulations to all of them. We still made a little bit of a profit, even though we just paid John Jones $4.5 million. What the hell? Without that, like, if we paid him just $700K, that's like an extra $3 million in the bank. But we're not here to make money. We're here to put on the best fights possible. John Jones, your heavyweight champion still. Appreciate you guys for watching, whether it be on YouTube or Twitch. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitch. Appreciate you guys as always. I'm AZPlyo21, and I will see you guys at the fights.